And there is a delay. So what you see will be like almost a minute delay from, and they're hearing this right now. So,
I apologize.
right.
Well, usually,
Hey guys, it's David here in Santa Fe. And we will be doing this, and we don't have a great camera on me and all this stuff, but we do have a local beer that we'll be trying. And today we're going to be trying a social hour from Santa Fe Brewing Company. And so I'm going to rate that first, like we always do. And like I said, these last couple of weeks I haven't had any beer to rate and stuff because I never can get one can of something. So cheers, everybody. Let me see. Let me rate it first for paintbrushes. Okay, that's pretty good. I'm gonna say that's a fruit. That's about a 9.5 paintbrushes. So cheers, everybody. Cheers. It's very good. I give everything pretty high, and also I have a few people in front of us. So if you hear a question, we have a crew up here. Some of the students and some of their husbands, and they're gonna be. What's that? And bodyguard. We got a bodyguard. And so they'll be asking questions possibly. And we're here in Santa Fe, New Mexico at the Hilton. And so let's get going here. And so I'll show you what we're painting. And so actually, let's first go through our supplies. And so what we're gonna be using today is Holbein watercolors, but not all of these because I don't have this is my student palette that you'll be seeing, but these are a lot of the colors that are in there. And I'm also going to be using gouache today, which I didn't have this on my traveling laptop here. So I'll be explaining the colors because they're the same colors I have in the palette. So you'll see that. And so now we're going to go to our value study. And actually, let's go. Let's see. Did we put our website in here? No, we didn't. That's going to be there. Okay, so let's go to, this is our value study, and we always do our value study, right, guys? And if you can't hear me or if the sound is not good, you guys, please put them in the comments. And I see that right now we have, who's here? Let's see who's here. Pamela, Ann, Dave, Sue, Ann, and Wendy. And I talk Patterson. Well, welcome, guys. And Sue from Minnesota. We know Sue. We know you, Sue. And let me bring this up so I can read it because it sometimes goes down because of the darn ads. All right, so there is our value study. And so we're looking for our lights and dark no tan. And what is our center of interest is the tree. And this is kind of like what is around this area in Santa Fe, though this is not my picture. But I was figuring if I would do something like this, if I could find something like this out there, that would be great. But there's a lot of rocks out there, and so this is kind of what it looks like. Or this could be Sedona too. But anyways, it's a red and green will be our complementary colors. Hey, Sherry from Indiana. And so we're going to be doing the greens and the reds, but I'm not going to make the sky like that. That's a boring sky, right? That sky is very boring. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to up it almost like where the sun's in the tree so that we do a little optical scatter. And if you remember what optical scatter is, it's when we put the sun right behind something and it'll burn out the tree and part of the tree. And so they'll be silhouetted, which would make this rock a little bit not bright like that, but it's my prerogative to do whatever I want. I have a artistic license. I can show it to you. No. And so we're gonna be doing that anyways. We're gonna put the light, or maybe put the light up on top. I'm not quite sure. And our color scheme, step one is always the lights, right? And so we're gonna do the lights. And so the lightest part is the sky, and part of the rock is also light. And so it's the light. This is almost yin and yang because we have the two darks on the side and the light in the middle, and then we have the dark in the middle, and then the sides and around. So this is pretty much a yin yang type of scene. All right, so let's go to our tabletop and get going here. And so there it is. It's not the best lighting, it's not the best setup, but and this right here in the corner here, that is my gouache set. And so, and also another thing I want to tell you that today I'm working on a canvas panel. So this is just a regular oil painting, well, not an oil painting, but a canvas panel that you can get at like a Walmart or, any Hobby Lobby, and you can even get them at the Dollar Tree. So it's just basically, and I didn't treat it with anything. And of course, there goes my, come on there, you're gonna get focused, come on. So that's what happens when you're out there. Well, it's going to come in focus in a second. There it goes. All right, so there we go. So that's on a canvas panel. So today we're working on a canvas panel because in class we were working on a canvas panel, and I think most people liked it. I think they had a good time with it, and it acts just like watercolor paper because this one comes from Amazon, but it has whatever gesso they put on it, it is like a ground. It's almost like watercolor ground. And so we're gonna wet the back, and we don't have, since it's a board, it's a panel, I don't have to worry about it being too thin a paper, and so I can just go right in there and just wet it and do my background sky. Now I better figure out what I'm gonna do pretty soon because I'm about to do the sky and the rocks. I'm gonna do my lights, right? And what we do with our lights, we wet the surface. And I'm using, I should have showed you how to use a eraser to get some of the pencil lines off of there, but they'll just become pigment and they'll be kind of a gray. But usually I roll a kneaded rubber eraser over it. I needed a rubber eraser to get off the lead that becomes like a pigment. I'm gonna go over everything. I'm just writing everything. This will probably bow a little bit, but not super much. Super much that's a great sentence right there. Super much. I've been making up all kinds of words all week and here in Santa Fe. And this is a Misa, Madeline Island School of Art. That's who I'm doing this workshop with. Again, ask me questions, and if I don't see it, one of these guys here in front of me will tell me that there's somebody asking a question, so they'll give me, they'll ask me the question too. And so I think I am going to go with a yellow sky, a little bit more yellow, and I'm going to use my watercolor. I know it's a blue sky that is in there. See on the lower left, right here, there's the picture. And so if you can see that, that's blue, but I don't want to put blue in there because I don't have orange. Well, I could put orange in there too, but I just want it to be all warm. I kind of want it all warm, and then the tree will be a really dark. See how it dulls the lead. And also, by the way, I'm not sure if you noticed, but I'm not working on a towel like I normally do. I'm working on a pee pad, a dog's pee pad. And I gave one to all the students this week, and so I think that's our new thing is get the pee pad, and I call them pee pads, and it's kind of fun to say. And so we're just gonna put our brushes on there. And I remember a lady in Dillman's had talked to me about it, and so it's really nice. And I bought a big thing of 52 of them or something like that, and so we're not going to run out of pee pads. Oh, I see they have tornadoes in Chicago, and yeah, one of my students here told me that, and so hopefully you guys are not in the path. Please don't be in the path of the tornado. Boy, it's been can't remember last time there was a tornado in Chicago. Just ask it if you. How do you know a canvas panel will work by looking at it? Oh, I don't. So we have to test it. If it doesn't work because the gesso is just like floating, like almost like Yupo paper, then what you want to do is put gesso ground on it, and not gesso ground, but absorbent ground or watercolor ground you put over it. But this one worked because I tested it. So just test it out. I can say, I'm going to put this on my website, the link to it. It was in my newsletter this week. I remember, if you don't realize it was in my newsletter this week for the product of the week. So this one is that it was in that panel or in the newsletter. And I'm going to be using gouache because I want to make some thick paint because it is on a canvas panel, which I thought would be kind of cool and fun. I'm not sure about fun, but it could be a different way of painting. And this looks really dark here because I don't have a big amount of light on my on my canvas here, but we'll see how this works. And actually I should have done it the opposite way. I should have made it purple up here and they made it like a sunset. Can I still do that? Well, with a canvas pen, you can. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wipe this out. And I have some paper towel here. And Louisa, hey, thanks you for putting it there. Oh, look at I just wiped off all my drawing. So that's going to be interesting. I just wiped off all the drawing. And actually, I'm hitting my head on your camera, so making you guys dizzy, isn't it? So what I'm going to do is take and make, again, make the sun down here. And as it goes up, I'm going to turn to like a lavender and make the top part like it's going in a distance, like I'm using a purple, a permanent violet, a lavender, and the sky is my light. So again, I'm still doing my lights. And since I just wiped it with that paper towel, the paper towel fragments are in there. So the pigment is not the pigment from the paint, but the pigment from the paper towel. So maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a new thing I just invented. Use the paper towel to get pigment in your palette or onto your painting. So it's looking a little bit better. Then I put the little, maybe some clouds in there. Use a little orangey red in this. Ooh, look at that. That's going to be looking good. And because that's going to be the color of the rock. So can you imagine how good that's going to look? Let's put some of that down here right away. This is the lights, remember the lights, and it's acting really much like watercolor paper, right? I mean, it looks like it's acting like watercolor paper. And I use my canvas panel as a palette. You haven't seen me put it down on the palette here, right? Because I'm using my paper or my canvas as a palette. And now we got the light, and this is, oh, that should go down a little bit farther too. And see how well these pea pads work? I can just go right in there and just put my little brush right there. And now orange and green are going to be my complements. And so I'm going to do a nice yellow orange. I'll mix that a little bit to see what I can get. And that's going to be the part of the rocky parts. And you can, and it's kind of, you're probably thinking, well, this is such a simple kind of looking scene. It's just a big rock and a tree. So how hard could that be? It's gonna be a little bit more difficult than I thought it was gonna be because it's like I'm making up the colors and I'm making up a lot of stuff. So you don't have to make it up like I'm doing. Do the colors that's out there and it'll look like that, right? So that's fine. But you know me, I like to make things a little bit different. I like to make them more moody and more moody. That's the thing I like to make it. I'm using only watercolor right now because I'm want it to be very much a transparency on the white paper. And this is all light. See the light to dark gradation. And it's pretty light. I mean, it kind of looks a little bit dark on the screen, but it's going to be light. And so now with the light of the rock, I'm going to be spattering a little bit here. So everybody stand back. And if you guys got questions, please ask them out also. Hey, Carol. Stormy Oshkosh. So it's, man, it's all stormy back east, huh?
Better just stay over here.
What's that? Yep. I better, well, I'm from here, I'm going to Reno and Lake Tahoe, so I'm going even farther west. So here is some light red terracotta, and I'm going to put that in there into the more the dark side. I'm going over to the dark side a little bit. It's okay when you're doing dark side of the watercolor. And then we've got the a little bit lighter here, this little boulder. And you just don't put down one color. You know, when I put down the water, I'm always going to put something else in there, right? And if you've been with me long enough, you know. And let me get another social hour I'm drinking here. 9.5, guys. Where are you? There it is. That is very good. That's a good beer. It is a little fruity, but you know how I like fruity. I do like the fruity beers. I'm not an IPA guy. They know that. They know I don't like IPAs. They're a little bit too harsh for me. So now I'm gonna put a little violet in here, which makes it kind of gray, right? Gray, and that's okay. And I'll get a little bit gray and what color is that? Oh, is that alizarin? Yep. And then this is a little dark. Any questions, guys? Come on, ask away, guys. And thanks everybody for commenting when it's over, after even the live is over, because the one video I did the other day with all the comments that had got 13,000 views. I couldn't believe it because of the taping video I made about not to tape and but to wet the back. I can't believe that got 13,000 views in like 3 days. And so this is a dark up here. And the canvas still gives you soft edges if you float your pigment. Remember how I'm talking about floating your pigment? You have to float your pigment to get the soft edges. And then I take a little bit thicker paint if I want it to stay. And I don't worry about all these little cracks and crevices in the rocks first. I'm getting the overall shape first. That's the more important than the little stuff. Always the big before you do the little. And I like to have the purples from the sky in there as long as also with the oranges and yellows because I decided I wanted that color and I'm not using the colors of the picture the way it is there in the photograph. I'm not painting a photograph. I am painting my own scene the way I want to. I have an artistic license. I got it from Dillman's. You can get them there. If you take your classes at Dillman's, you get an artistic license. It's a piece of paper with your name on it saying that you have a right. A little bit of yellow here. And also what I'm going to be doing is something that's a little bit different than I normally do. I'm going to go into more of a um, heavy gouache look, like an oil painting. And so that's kind of neat that when to do something a little bit different than always just transparency, transparent watercolor. It has been actually kind of chilly here and windy in Santa Fe, by the way, guys. So it hasn't been super, super hot, which I guess is a really good thing. Right now, let's put a little bit of these lines in there, little crevices, and try to get a little bit like what it is. And I'm not going to do a really fine detail yet, just a little bit of the bigger parts in the rocks. And the rocks are a little bit more orangey red. But it's starting to dry a little bit, and so this canvas dries a lot faster than the paper, I think. For some reason, it just seems like it soaks into the canvas, and then it just gets really dry really quick. But that's okay, because we can go in there now, and I'm gonna make it myself an orange with purple and yellow orange. Here we'll make a brown. And we'll go in here, and this little rock right here is a little bit thicker. Let me take a little bit of this burnt sienna from the gouache. That covers better. And look at that, it just covers really big, and so it's not showing what's underneath it. It's not transparent. So that's pretty much my lights, right, guys? This is pretty much my lights, and now it's also a little bit of my medium. So I did step one and step two all in the same wash, which is okay now. So let's just say we're on step two. All right, we're on step two and we're doing our large mediums and our large darks. Not detail, so I'm not going to be doing all the little crevices. I'm not doing all the little things, but I'm gonna smash my brush here. I'm gonna smash my brush to make it some lines in here.
You do have a new question.
How do you frame a canvas panel? That's the reason I'm doing it is because it's 10 times easier to frame a canvas panel in a watercolor panel because all you do is put it into a frame of that size because there's standard sizes. This is 11 by 14, So I can buy a bunch of things 11 by 14 standard size frames, and you just staple or what's a tool? It's called a point driver. So you use a point driver to just staple them into the frame. No glass, no glass and no mat, and you just staple it right in there. And they cost a lot. They may cost a little bit more because they're wider, the frames. Let's see if I have one, small one. In a second, I'll maybe have one of you guys bring it over to me and I'll show them. Hey, can you bring me the one painting? So I have one of the watercolors done on a board. No, the frame kind of heavy. Sorry. So this is one that is framed. This is see how we have a wider frame, and this is not a watercolor, but this happens to be an acrylic on Yupo. But this is the kind of frame you would use on it, something a little bit wider, and it doesn't have glass, and it's waxed, and so that's how I would frame it. I would frame it just like this, though this is not a watercolor, but it's the same thing, same exact thing. So I hope that answers your questions, Aaron. How was the Santa Fe show? I don't think I went to a show. Do I spray it? I spray it with varnish after it's done. Yes, I do. Or I wax it. You can even wax the what you call it, the canvas. You can wax that too. I'm not sure what show you're talking about. We did go to the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum yesterday, and that was wonderful. I never knew a lot. I didn't know that she came from Wisconsin. At one time she was in Wisconsin. She traveled all over. But see, now I'm getting a little bit more detail in the rock, just to get that kind of look of the rock being very contrasty with little cracks in the rocks. So basically that means that I am on my third stage if I'm doing details. So, which I'm not done with my tree or anything like that yet. So let me do my big parts of my tree right now and some of the foliage that is in there. So let's see what we have here. We have quinacridone gold. That's how I get my greens. I don't have a green except for leaf green right there. So I'm going to take quinacridone gold and I'm going to take a really dark blue, which is right here, my Prussian blue. And I'm going to bend my brush to where it's like this, where it's really bad. And I lost my drawing completely. You guys can see it, right? I lost my drawing completely. So I'm making this up. Let me look at the tree. And so there's a little bit of something over here. And then we make it a little bit darker. And I'm like doing a balancing act with my neck so I don't hit your camera here. And I'm also going to use one of my ugly brushes. I don't know if you remember my ugly brush, which is, where did my ugly brush go? Okay. Yes, it's so I'm going to use this ugly brush. We'll use Carol's ugly brush. Carol and her gang of 4 or 3 are from Quincy, Illinois. And Louisa is from near San Diego. So we have them all over the country. All over the country we have it here this week. All right, where's that picture? Okay, here we're gonna go. We're gonna do some trees here.
Great cat.
I just knew you were going to Santa Fe and assumed you were teaching and having a show. Oh no, that's next week when I go to Reno and Lake Tahoe. That's where I'm going to display some work for sale at the Reno show at the Pace 25. So Pace 25 is the expo, the plein air expo.
There's one frame. watercolor paper, you wax it too.
Yes, you wax it all the time. You wax any watercolor that you're not putting behind a glass or mat, you're gonna be waxing it or varnishing it. One or the other. You have to do one of those. And if you can't just frame the paper, you have to make it on a board. You can't just put the paper behind the frame. You need to adhere it to a board, and you can do that with gel medium. You put it onto like maybe put it on a board like there's a panel. So that's right there. So now I know, and I can tell you that if you're going to be drawing on with pencil on your canvas and you rub it off, it rubs right off, guys. So you're going to lose your whole your whole drawing that you did. And over here, there's a few little, and this is just a tree, so it really doesn't matter. I mean, I can do whatever the leaves I want. And these are just the medium leaves. They're not the detailed ones yet. But this ugly brush, these are these hardware store brushes that are like $1 a piece or something like that. They do great textures. Now, all the ladies in here, their husbands are gonna be really pissed at them when they go into their toolboxes and find that they steal all their steal all their paintbrushes. Where'd my paintbrush go that I'm using? Okay, now down here, there's going to be some foliage. Is it foliage or foliage? Foliage. Which tree? Down here? Yeah, yeah, that comes down here. That's what I'm doing now. I'm doing around here. So I'm going to go around and just kind of put that in there. Oh, we got to put it in there. I'm going to put this, these are a little bit, and I'm going to use some of the light green too. Always the lighter stuff first. And you always do the darker on top of that. And since it is a lot of greenery and stuff, and I'm not gonna just make it one green. I'm gonna put orange in there, like I always say with foliage, is that you put green into that orange into the green. It just helps a little bit out of making the green look more realistic. And I'm using my light blue, and this is still transparent. I haven't used my gouache watercolors because that would make it untransparent, makes it opaque. So right now I want this to be opaque. I mean transparent. And this is really brown up there. That looks really ugly. So I'm going to go in and try to make some really dark green, beautiful dark green. And it all ran together because it's all wet. But I can go back in later and make it more. I can get more of the edges, to look like the pine needles. If there's anybody new out there in YouTube land on my channel, thanks for stopping by, guys. And I know I'm getting a lot of new people because of that 13,000 people watching that one thing. But I mean, I do these every Thursday and Sunday. On Sunday morning, I also do a plein air or sometimes just things for myself, and I just turn on the camera. So if I'm in my studio all winter, I just turn on the camera on Sunday mornings. You can watch me paint. It's not a paint along, but some people do paint along with it, so that's all good. And please subscribe and like, and that'll help out a little bit. Where else do we have the greenery? We have the greenery. Oh, I hear it. I'm going to be in northern Wisconsin the month of July. Are you going to be in that area or North Shore or Lake Superior? July, no, July, I think I'm going to be in Maryland. I'll be at a competition in Maryland called Easton Plein Air event, I think. I will be in northern Wisconsin in September. Or look at my website and you'll see where I'm at. Because I'm only doing 2 workshops this year, and this is one of them. and the other one is in Dillman's in Wisconsin. All right, so there are my medium tones, my big medium tones, and now it's time for details. And how much time do we still have left here? We have 6 o'clock, so we have half an hour, 1/2 hour. So can we finish it? Yes, we can. And so now we're going to go with my small round brush. Is right here. And I'm going to start doing the detail of the tree, the trunks, and see if I cannot hit the camera. And I'll make it kind of brownish. So green and red make a brown too, complements. And okay, boy, that picture is really small. So we're gonna do it. And actually, I can't do this part right here because it's wet. So we're just gonna do the branches away from the wetness I just put there. And this is a good time to use a rigger too, to do these real fine branches. And I should have just waited to do these because then I can do them with the rigger and go right into my trunk. So I'm going to stop right there and just go on to the next part. So, yeah, because I'm going to just wait for the. So let's go into this part and do our nice darks in there. And so right here, I noticed I have a line. I can still see my pencil line there. And so I'm going to start taking some of my opaque colors, my gouache colors, and I'm just going to still use them like transparent watercolor, but they're going to fill in here really nicely. And I'm going to do the dark so that that's the shadow side. I always use my colors of transparencies first to make them look really transparent, and then I can float other pigments in there, right? I always do that. And so then you can do that, but then I can later on put a nice thick like gouache on there to really up the light part. And even the dark part, I can make them really, really dark too. So I'm gonna do a really dark right here now. I never just use one color. Remember, I never really just use one color for an object, for an area, because it just would never, it doesn't happen really that much because other colors are bleeding into that or projecting into that area. Like this area is really dark, right? And so if it's really dark red, it's gonna just be a color that will skim over to their side. Because if you're using one color in the painting, you got to use it somewhere else. You have to. It reflects, the colors reflect into other areas, a little bit different color. Like sometimes colors combine together, like mountains, you'd say purple mountains. They're not purple. It's just the sky is blue and the rock and the mountain is red, and so that makes it purple. That's why you get a purple mountain. It's not colored purple, it's aerial perspective. Excuse me. And use any, like I'm using reds and greens. That doesn't mean you are not allowed to use other colors. I can use some orange. I can put some orange in there because I got orange in the sky, so I can reflect that into the sky. And then I'm going to put all these little crevices and rocks and the different texture of the rock. And I could even use like spattering and all that kind of stuff. Let me spatter a little bit here. And then I'm just going to cover this area up. Take my paper towel. Just cover that area up because I want to spatter a little bit. You know how much I love spattering. If you've been with me, you know I spatter everything. I'm just going to take some orange. Let me get on the screen because that gives it a texture. And after I do the washes, if I don't get a texture from that wash, that particular wash, I can still make other textures. I can spatter, I can use sandpaper. Who knows? There's all kinds of ways. If you smoke, put your Does gouache dry lighter or darker? It depends on how you use it. If you use it like watercolor and make it transparent, yes. If you just use it thick, then no. If you're using it thick, it will just be the color that you're smearing it on. But if you're using it like a wash, where you use it like transparent watercolor and you're letting, no, you can see through it and it gets lighter. What else color could I use in there? A little bit orange and white. I use a little bit of light orange. So I'm making my orange light because I can't use the paper to make it light, so I use white to lighten up the orange and make it some light. Everything is. Oh, sorry about that again, guys. So there we have oh, some nice texture, right? That's nice texture. And like I said, I'm going to be using the gouache a little bit, but not right now, because I'll go back in there and make those highlights and dark lights. Is that right? And dark swatches. And I'll make them nice and dark and light. And so now we're going to see this shadow right here and there? It's not dark, so now we're going to put that shadow in there. A little purple, permanent violet, a little bit of light red. And I'm going to just look for that shadow. And it goes right across here. Kind of comes down.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Do you have a favorite paper or board? No, I like working on everything. I like working on canvas. I like working. I think my favorite is Bristol board. I used to use Bristol board a lot, but it's not my favorite. I just like working on everything. I do like working on panels now, though, more than just working on plain paper, because then I don't have to worry about anything when it comes to framing. So I guess, yes, I do like working on panels. And the aluminum panels, which are a little bit expensive, but they're so nice. I really like those when I'm out plein air painting.
What's, does gouache dry lighter or darker?
Yeah, I think I told them that it doesn't, the gouache dries depending again about if you're doing it wet into wet or yeah, if you're using it like transparent, then it does get lighter. And it looks like my thing up there is dry, so I can finally go into I'm gonna put this picture, hold on, guys, one second, I gotta put a picture on my thing here, screen, so I can see what the heck I'm painting. Can't put it over your guys' thing, but I'm gonna put it right there. So this is gonna get really dark over here. And it's especially good for me doing the trunk of the tree because I can't see garbage when it comes to that little small thing in the left hand corner because I'm using a laptop and I can't really see it that small. I have good vision, but not that good a vision. And then we go dark across here. Oh, you know what? I totally realized that I'm missing a whole part of the, I'm missing a whole rock up there. It washed it away. So we're gonna put it back. I'm gonna put it back, but no drawing. I don't have a drawing to follow. But you can do whatever you want. You're the artist, right? You got your artist license, so you can make it do whatever you want. You guys got questions here? All right, so now the tree trunk and how much time do I have left? I've got 6:09. Oh, plenty of time. All right, looks in my screen it looks pretty decent already. We have the rocks, right? We have the rocks, we have the darks. So now let's go and do the tree. I wish I had the what do you call it, the dragon tongue, I would call it, or the sword brush, because that's always fun to use and make it look really Like you can go with corners, really harsh corners. This tree has some really harsh corners. Like this. And it goes this direction. This goes into the rock, so I'm gonna put some. I'm still gonna get a lot of darks in the rocks too, because I can get little crevices in the center of interest. The tree is basically the center of interest. And then we're gonna go in here and make a bunch of branches. This is the rigger brush, so it can make me really small, thin lines. Though do practice with it before you think you can make thin lines, and you're not going to make them, because you don't want to practice on a painting. You don't want to practice your brushwork on a painting that you can ruin by doing the wrong brushwork. So take a scrap sheet of paper and practice with that on there. So look at that beautiful tree, a gnarly tree. We'll call it the gnarly tree of Santa Fe. You can pay $25 to go see this tree. Because Georgia O'Keeffe sat down here one time painting it at the Ghost Ranch. And so this is at Ghost Ranch. We're just gonna make up a story, and then people will come from miles and miles to see this tree. Let's put that there, and then we have little things going. This is the big part, and so there's a little bit of branches going right there. And you don't have to be so perfect with the tree. I mean, I don't have to make every branch exactly where it is. And especially I can't now because I lost all my lines. But that's okay. I mean, though you do want to make them look like a real tree. So you notice that sometimes branches go over the front and to the side. So don't make them all like a fan. Some go back, some go forward, meaning that you need to make the back ones a little bit lighter and the front ones to be a little bit darker. Like the ones that go way back here can be a little bit more like a violet even. I'll use the magic color lavender, and I'll just make some of these branches lavender. And don't do it really wet, because if you make it really wet, it gets really thick. See? You can also use that ugly brush to make other trees, not this kind, but other trees where you have wispy branches. These are gnarly branches, and then there's wispy branches, and then there are all kinds of branches. See how they're really light? I made them really light, and then you can go dark to light. It's amazing how sharp a turn some of these branches make on this picture. So I'm gonna use my little bit of my ugly brush. And here, watch this. We're gonna do this time. We're gonna make it a little bit not so wet. We're not gonna make it so wet. A little bit thicker. And we're gonna put this on there. Little leaves. And the other wash I did was a lot wetter. Oh, big long talk. You guys read that.
Small watercolor for my bathroom, but I worry that the constant humidity from the shower would ruin it. What would be the best sealer to use and paper or board? Maybe stick, maybe stick to film. So she wants to know what the best sealer to use and paper or board in the bathroom.
So Tina, thanks for the question about your watercolor in your bathroom. I would use a panel, and this panel, if it's paper or board, of course it's going to bend. But if you protect it with a varnish, it'll be fine. I mean, if you take it with a varnish, and then also varnish the back of the panel, not only the front, but do the back of the panel too, and it'll protect it from the humidity. I think if you, don't want paper with a mat, of course you don't want that. Anything the aluminum panel would be awesome because the aluminum is aluminum. That's never bending anywhere. So that I would definitely highly recommend an aluminum panel. And what else? Let's see. Yeah, I think I'd go with the aluminum panel. You can go with like a hardboard panel and then tape some, not tape, glue some paper to it. And then once you varnish it, it's fine. Once you varnish anything, it will be protected from water and humidity. Okay, so that tree has even more little branches, so I'm gonna take I wish I usually have a 1/4 inch like this, which is really fun too, because you can go little branches, like just do little branches, but watch this, I'm just gonna take real, barely touch the canvas and get these little hairs to kind of make a mark, to make it a little more realistic, because realistically, there are a million branches on this tree, and so I can't draw every one of them. Of course you can't, and so you just, unless you're doing hyperrealism, you better do it then. If you're doing hyperrealism. So I'm just using the side of the I mean, look how terrible that brush looks. And so it's, I can get this off of here now. Okay. And you can also put leaves or you can make some of the pine needles that are in there. You don't have to put them onto a branch. You can just float them into the sky to make them look like the branch is so thin you really can't see the branch. And now I'm doing my darkest dark, my darkest details. This is super detailed now. These are the little pine needles. And it would be on the underside. Usually it's on the underside of the branch, underside of all the needles. And do them in clumps. Don't do everything like just dotted all around, because that's not how it looks. The branches all come together and you have big areas of dark and light. So the top is light because well, the sun is down here, isn't it? So I did opposite. Well, anyways, that's okay. Artistic license. You can always claim artistic license. And don't do too much of what I'm doing right now, because you can overdo it too. So that's good enough for that tree up there, I think. I'm gonna take my rigger brush and do a few more little thin branches. And if anybody sees something, please let me know if you see something that you don't like in the picture, or want to know how I did it, or how I could make it better. I take criticism just like you guys take criticism when I'm criticizing your work. So that's okay. You can criticize it. All right, now we got to do that so that our foliage in the foreground, I'll hear a little bit. Oh, we got a vacuum cleaner coming. Sure you can hear the vacuum cleaner out there. How much more time do we have? 19, 10 minutes, 11, 12 minutes. All right, so this part over here can be a little bit darker with a darker greenish blue. Nice and dark down here, so I can do the outer edge a little bit darker. Maybe not that dark. And I can also put some of these darks up here and cover some of the branches if I don't feel there's branches. So now I'm going to start using the gouache. See, I'm starting to use the gouache. and then I can do the things on top of whatever I just put there. This has some darks on this side. That's kind of made up a little bit compared to what it is on the picture. But again, that's okay. You can make things up. I'll make this a little bit darker down here. Get the shape of the rock down there. Use some a little bit lighter green, and even this now, I just took some leaf green from my watercolor palette instead of my gouache palette, and I use it really thick, and I made it gouache because I used it so thick, it became gouache. Not a store-bought gouache, but an opaque green. And right, and this thing in the corner here is just these things that behind it are darker, so let's make the rock a little bit darker behind here so I can negative paint this part. This goes back there a little bit. And now super fine details. Let's go with our gouache here. I think this is violet. Gouache covers everything. Gouache covers it and makes it not transparent. So if you want to not be able to see through, use gouache. And for anybody coming in late, this is a canvas panel. I'm working on canvas panel that was just I didn't do it, treat it or anything. I just used it the way it was. And I will put this canvas panel, it was in my newsletter, but I will again put it on my website so you can see which exact panel it was that I had purchased from Amazon. A few more things here and nice dark right here. I still like to put a little bit more spatter into this because some of the spatter goes away because it was wet, right? And so I wouldn't mind getting a little bit more spatter in there to give me a little bit more texture. And I can also go across a brush with a brush like this. I can just kind of tap it down, give it some texture that way. And this is like dry brushing now. I'm not floating my pigment. I'm just getting texture. And I'm going to use the gouache mostly for the lights. I'm going to go in there with the lights and really pop the lights because it'll be a thick light, a thick amount of pigment to get my lighting. Getting close, I think. And we always go faster. That's okay. We don't have to go all to 1 hour. We can just stop anytime we want. Sorry, guys. Keep on pushing. All right, so I'm gonna take my light. I'm gonna take my flat 1/4 inch brush or 1/2 inch brush. Now let's go with 1/4 inch brush. So here's my 1/4 inch brush. I'm gonna wet it a little bit. I'm gonna get a white. And actually, then maybe we do some things that are white. No, actually, there is nothing white in here. There's no sparkling water. There's no shiny metal. And so I'm just going to use that with orange and make myself a nice orangey light color that is the lights of the rock. I'll use a little bit of even watercolor orange with the white gouache. And I look at the picture and I go, where are some of these lights located? And I'm just gonna put them on top here. And I'm even go over some of the lights there so I can make them thick. I can make them nice and thick. And yes, you can use the wax over this, even if you do it really dark like that or really thick like that. It's fine. It'll go into the paint and make it hard. It'll make it hard. And you can even use varnish. You can use varnish too. But see, these are little details. And then I look for the sun, like the sun's gonna be hitting right on the side here. So let's just hit the side of that mountain here a little bit. This is dark in the picture. So I guess it wouldn't because it's coming this way. So forget what I just said. Back here, I don't want to make it too thick, but I can clean things up if I want to clean things up a little bit. And this is more of an effect of like oil painting, right? Because I'm using it thick and you can see my brush stroke. But I want that though. I want you to see the brush stroke. What else, guys? You see anything that is obvious that I'm missing? And this appears, and this is a distance, so I don't want too much contrast on this rock here.
Down in the corner where the tree is down there, I'm gonna put something.
This here, this corner, or that tree right there. Yeah, I can put a little bit of light green in there. I can use some leaf green. Should I clean it out here a little bit? Putting it on my pea pad. See, this is the pea pad. And let a little bit of light hit that tree. And see how thick it is? It just covers right over it. And it's not floating like I want my other stuff to float, but it's just giving me a little bit of texture from that tree. All right, I think that's it, guys. And I would sign it right here. I think it would sign right there because of this tree being there. I couldn't put it over that because then it feels too weighted on this side. So I'm gonna put it right there. I would sign it right there. Put a little bit of this. I like the green you just told me to do. That's pretty neat. I'm gonna put a few over here. 3 minutes. So again, we did it right on time. So what do you think about the gouache, guys? You think it's going to be something you want to use? If you do, Holbein makes some great gouache, but you got to put it in a container like this where you can put a top on it and water it down because it's not like the watercolors that they have, Holbein, because they will dry. And so you want to have a little bit of wetness in there. It may get some mold every once in a while, but then just wash the mold out. And this is usually a really, really good palette to use for that. Now, the regular Holbeins always just leave them out. You don't have to worry about that at all. All right, so next Sunday, I'm not sure if I'll be able to do it on Sunday morning, or a Sunday morning, because I have to drive to Reno here from Santa Fe. And it's a 2-day drive. It's 9 and 7 hours. So it's gonna be 16 hours. I have to drive to Reno. And so I won't have time to do a Sunday morning, but maybe next week I'll hold on my camera out there. Yeah, when I'm painting in Lake Tahoe, I can just put on my thing and I'll just just subscribe so you know when I'm painting. All right, guys? I just see one thing I want to do. Hold on, one more thing. Just gonna put a couple little edges on this little rock here. Done. All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching. And I will see you either on Sunday or next Thursday. We'll have something else to paint. And I'm not sure if next Thursday I'll be able to do anything either because I'll be at the Pace. And I think on Thursday is the last day. And I think they have stuff going on at this time at 6:30 Central Standard Time. I think we'll be there doing something. So maybe see you in 2 weeks. Or